A lot of people don't know what carbohydrates are. For instance, do you think your vegetables are carbohydrates? Well, they are. Do you think your frozen yogurt is carbohydrate? Not only is, but it's absolutely loaded. What about your juices? Very high in carbohydrate. What about a cracker, a Melba toast? Very high in carbohydrate. Are you beginning to get the picture? Maybe you know now that it isn't you, it isn't that you're a glutton, it's just that you didn't know how much carbohydrate you'd been snookered into. But now you'll see it, and you'll have a chance to go to a carbohydrate gram counter and actually analyze what your carbohydrate intake is. It might just blow your mind to know how many grams you're eating a day, particularly when the new you comes in with a considerably lower number. This can be the most revealing bit of information you will ever get. To see that you're thriving in the very near future on 20 or 30 grams of carbohydrate, and that without even knowing it, you were eating close to 200 or more grams of carbohydrate, thinking you were doing what was right. Now you've listed all your foods. Using your carbohydrate counter, tabulate the approximate number of carbohydrates you are currently eating. Don't be afraid of your answer. Just write down as best you can the approximate amounts you are currently eating. We're going to be cutting this area of your diet down. Okay, now you have added up your carbohydrate. I wonder if you're a little bit surprised how many grams of carbohydrate you've consumed. I wouldn't be surprised if over 60% of your calories turned out to be carbohydrate. That might explain why you're suffering from being overweight, why you may have mood swings or cravings or fatigue or brain fog or trouble concentrating or a variety of other things which you just thought were you. Well, they're not you. They're just you when you eat that many carbohydrates. You are free to eat as much as you like of protein foods, but we are going to restrict carbohydrates. Carbohydrates from rice, bread, potatoes, chips, once in your body, basically turn into a form of sugar. This causes a dramatic rise in insulin to push the sugar out of the bloodstream. Insulin is the fattening hormone. The rise and fall of blood sugar is what makes you tired and hungry all the time. That and the accompanied rise and fall of insulin are what can also cause a variety of insulin-related health problems. But we're going to fix that. Okay, now it's time we describe what's bad about all that carbohydrate. Maybe you heard what they say about Chinese food. You fill yourself in a Chinese restaurant and then an hour later you're hungry. What does that actually mean? What it means is Chinese food was a high carbohydrate meal. But how many times have you been hungry after your breakfast or after your lunch and it wasn't Chinese? It was high carbohydrate. What's the lesson? Carbohydrates stimulate your appetite. On the downslope of your blood sugar, first it raises your blood sugar and you feel pretty satiated. But because you have an insulin disorder, it doesn't take long before your sugar starts down rapidly, crashing down. And as your blood sugar falls, you get hungry. That's the Chinese restaurant syndrome. That's the high carbohydrate diet syndrome. Now you're beginning to get some insight as to why you had your eating misbehavior that you were so upset with. It wasn't that you're a bad person. It's simply that your blood sugar was dropping so rapidly that you were getting hungry. Okay, what do we do about it? Well, here's what we do about it. We will, in just a few moments, change your diet to one without carbohydrates. You'll have salad, that much carbohydrate, and then you'll have a main course, steak or chops or chicken or fish. You'll have that sort of food, and you will see the difference. We'll go into greater detail about the food that you eat in just a few moments. Right now, I'd like to focus on just how much carbohydrate you may be taking in. Carbohydrate is a chemical that contains glucose. Glucose is the fuel that comes from carbohydrate, and it's a sugar. It comes from sugars to begin with, but it can come from starch, because a molecule of starch, the sort of thing that's in a potato, is just a bunch of glucose molecules which are broken down by the enzymes in your body into glucose, sugar again. Let's take a look at just what these sugar equivalents are in the various foods that you may be eating.
What I'm going to show you is that your body turns carbohydrate food into sugar. Let's start with a typical breakfast of cereal, toast, orange juice, and a banana. Cereal has about 1/4 cup of sugar. Toast has about 1/4 cup of sugar. Orange juice has about 1/4 cup of sugar. Banana has about 1/8 cup of sugar, and that's just breakfast. Let's say around 10 a.m. you get hungry, so you have a snack. Let's say you have a fruit on the bottom yogurt. This fruit on the bottom, low-fat yogurt, has a whopping 1/4 cup of sugar. And for lunch, let's say you're watching your weight, so you have a skinned chicken breast, baked potato, and some bread. There is no sugar in the chicken, but the potato has a heaping 1/4 cup of sugar in it. And the bread also has a 1/4 cup of sugar in it. So now 3 o'clock rolls around and you're feeling a bit tired, so you have a few pieces of candy and a soda pop. The candy is about 1/4 cup of, you got it right, sugar. And the soda is about 1/4 cup of sugar as well. Now for dinner, you're a good low-fat dieter and you're really trying to do the right thing, so all you eat is pasta. Pasta, bread, and a soda. In the pasta, again, is about 1/4 cup of sugar. The bread, another 1/4 cup. And the soda, about 1/4 cup of sugar. Now, are you getting the picture? Look at all this sugar in the foods you're eating. Incredible, isn't it? Keep in mind now that these spikes of sugar demand a spike in insulin to push all this sugar out of your bloodstream. Now, that's just one day's worth. Multiply that by 365 days, and then by how old you are, and you should be getting the picture of why most of us have had such a hard time losing weight, and why many of us suffer from such a variety of health ailments.
I guess you're ready to start doing it now, and we can. First of all, I want you to get the
Personal Diet Manual.
I want you to pick out all of the foods that are listed there that are designed to get you into ketosis. Ketosis, by the way, simply means burning your own stored fat. Obviously, that's the first thing that you'd like to accomplish. And so pick out all of the foods that do that and make your decision which of those would be your favorite foods. Which are the ones that would make a nice meal plan for you, make you happy eating what you like to eat. In other words, if it says lamb chops and you don't like lamb chops and would rather have a steak, fine. If it says duck and you'd rather have chicken, fine. So on. Make those choices. There's only one thing I would ask you to do. Don't hit upon the same food day after day. Try to get a variety, at least a rotation of waiting 4 days before you go back to the same food. 2 reasons for that. One is that there can be food intolerances developed if people eat the same food over and over. As a matter of fact, that may be something you've been suffering with regard to wheat and things that you do eat over and over. Very important point. Secondly, even more important, is it's nice to have a nice variety of foods. We're here to enjoy eating. Isn't it wonderful? We're here to lose weight, but we're also here to enjoy eating. The best way to do that is to have the widest variety of foods that will get the job done that you can possibly imagine. So let's do that now. The objective is to get into ketosis. And may I remind you what ketosis is? It's that delightful condition, meaning that your fat is serving as your primary fuel for energy. Perfect combination. People have said things about ketosis that simply aren't true. This is a dieter's delight, and you'll know the benefit. It is so dramatic. You're not hungry. All the cravings that you had before aren't there. You put more on your plate than you're able to finish. All of this is the benefit of ketosis, and you know it's there even if you're not in ketosis. You also know it by the fact that your energy is never fails. It stays up. All of this is beneficial. That's the principle behind the Atkins program, and that's the principle you're learning. You'll be able to use that the rest of your life. And you'll not only enjoy eating, but you'll enjoy very good health.